Yeah, let's do it. Okay, good morning. We are in Samech Tes, Sif Yudalid, in Hilchos Melicha. Basar Shishar Shlosha Yomi, we're discussing about meat which sat for 3 days without Melicha. And the Kadosh Sagoinim is Rechoshish that the dam gets stuck in there and won't come out with Melicha. Basar Shashar Shlosha Yom below Melicha, and it's Ara Oisa Chaticha Bechaticha Sacheris, and it ended up with other pieces of meat or the chickens or whatever. Butler Baroiv. It's simply the Butler Batela Barov. Betray Chiddush. The Chiddush here is that we don't say it's Davar Sheyesh L'Matirim, since we say okay, well you could salt it, and therefore you could roast it and matter it. So therefore, we should answer the whole thing, and then you have to roast everything. Kamash Malan, since we'll enter Kalan Sagoinim, we don't say together with that Davar Sheyesh L'Matirim, and therefore it is Batal Baroiv. We're doing Melicha over here. We're doing Melicha. The question is that in this piece it won't be good enough. Maybe you should do tzli and everything, and that obviously we don't need to. It's batela barov, mutter levasho kula, and it's mutter to, and afterwards even to cook everything, right? Even if it's the chaticha really yiskabe, which we're going to see later on, these things in Hilchos Tarevis, which we say that we say that it's not bottle chad betray. We don't say it's bottle baroiv. So afal pikein we're not machmir in this just a davar sheish matirin. So too we're not machmir by the tkanas hagoinim. Chenadin b'nizbasha b'lo malicha. So too this is the din of a piece of meat or a chicken which was cooked without malicha misariv achrach ba'acheres and accidentally got mixed up. Who adin that since the dam shabishlo is only derabanan, so we are not going to go ahead and we're not going to be machmir in this situation. Tes is vav basar maluchach bedamim. You have a piece of meat which is dirty with which is has dam on the outside. Now, there's a question here about if it means that has actual dam, or there is nafkamina, or it calls it that while doing melicha because dam comes out. Anyway, that it looks it was soaked in water from you tried doing hadacha, right? You put it in hadacha and forgot about it, came back after 24 hours. Yesh oisim la'achloi ki im tzli. Some say it's also to eat it unless you do tzli. Elim ken yesh b'mayim shishim kenegdoi, because this is a din of kavush k'mevushal, and the din of kavush k'mevushal is we say it's a din like it's mevushal, and therefore just like a piece of therefore it would be it's not mamish k'mevushal, but al kapanim rechoshish that it's mavliya. Not that it's mamish cooked, but it's mavliya, the dam which is on the outside, or which is mavliya into the piece, and therefore it's only going to come out with tzli. V'yesh oisrim b'afil tzli v'achinog. We say kavush k'mavushal, something which they say pickled, whatever you want to call it, is eating tzli is aser because it's mamash k'mavushal, and therefore rechoshesh that some of the dam started moving around and it got stuck, and now it's just like any other case if you cooked it in a pot, and therefore it would be aser. The question is it meluchach b'dam? Some say that could be the only. Some say the only reason there's a chash is because there's actual dam on the outside. Otherwise, we wouldn't be choshish b'chlal. But al panim, that if taka a person would soak it, would do hadacha and forget about it, then he should be machmir and do tzli. Tezayim, ein mochen el b'kli menukav. We only do malicha in a kli menukav, a kli that has drainage. Oh, agabe kashim v'kismin, or if you have some sort of even if it's in a bowl, but there's like a straw or something that it's elevated from the floor of the bowl. Madron she'im yishapech shamayim yotzu miyad. That it's slanted enough that if you put water there, it will go down. It will go down immediately. The reason is because if that's the kli menukov, if it's an kli she'ena menukov, then the piece of meat sits in the tzir, the hot salty tzir. Full of dam, and then it's dam, which is like you have dam on the outside, like it's dam shapir, it's dam like actual dam, and it goes since it's hot and it's whatever it's roseach, it goes into the piece of meat, it goes back in, and therefore it asters the piece of meat. So therefore, as long as there's a drainage, it goes out, or you have it's on some sort of it's some sort of sieve, or some sort of colander, or I don't know, whatever, or you have it on, even if you have it on a board. They used to have the melicha board in the sink. It was a board, but they put it on as a slant, like that's the old time. That's what they did in the old timers in the house. Haga, the daf chalak biritani shemayim zavim imenu, and it would be interesting. The question is by I know that it's common, at least here. I don't know in America probably also is that it's common to when they put in the kitchen counter, they make it with a few millimeter slant, so any water that gets on the counter will flow towards the sink. Or at least the proper ones are built with just a touch of a slant. Would that be good enough? How fast does it have to go? As long as it doesn't pool, even if it's a very mild slant, but it flows right away, then it would be fine. First, we have to check it out. Yeah, right. So if like I said, if you test it out on your counter, you put water on the counter, and you see it immediately starts flowing, then that would be okay. Is that what it's talking about? Or hitting means? No, I'm going back. I'm going back to the mechaber. Sorry, going back to the mechaber. Haga v'daf chalak beritani. If it's a smooth piece of wood, shemayim zavim menu ain't tzarich lanicha b'madron. If it's so, this even by a counter, it would be okay to feed the Ramah, even if the counter, even without a slant. If the water, again, you check, it doesn't pool, it just starts flowing out to the sides, and that would be okay. If it's not smooth, then you do need to go ahead and put it as a slant. Afilu b'kli menukav, even if it's has drainage. Yizar l'chachila shiyu hanakavim psuchim. You have to just check and be sure that whatever it's going to drain out, that it actually drains out before you go ahead and you salt something in it. You have to be sure that there's nothing blocking. I mean, for example, I don't know if you throw a bunch of chickens in and one or meat, and one meat actually accidentally gets stuffed into the hole, so it would be a problem. You have to check to be sure that doesn't happen. L'chein lo yamidu al gabe karka. Therefore, you should not put this kli straight onto the ground. Ki kli she'ein manukav, because it doesn't have a drainage spot, and therefore, even though I guess you could say it would drain into the ground, but that's not good enough, and therefore it's the kli she'ein manukav. V'chein machmiring sas l'sum toch kli manukav kash or kismin. Some are machmir afal pikein to put kash or kismin in. To raise the level of the meat, or you could put you could put some sort of grate or something or whatever. Because you have a piece of meat itself. If it's sitting straight, like I mentioned, straight on the holes, it can block it itself. So therefore, it's an extra chumrah. Again, these are all chumras. As long as the thing flows, it's okay. But again, l'chachila, these are what you should do. Ve'im malach b'kli she'ein melukav, and let's say you did salt it in a kli which is not in a bowl. Also, lishtamish b'osel kli b'davar roseach. The kli itself is the Gemara. It's actually a Gemara which says that you can't put a davar roseach into a kli she'ein. If you salt a kli she'ein melukav, you can't put a davar roseach inside of it. So we're going to see the question exactly what it means. Lashon and the Mechaber is straight like the Gemara. Davar roseach, because when you do melicha into the kli, the salt is connection roseach, and it's mavliya into the kli. Now there's actually a machlokes about whether places in the Ravid about whether the kli stays what's called roseach. Meaning, if it's salty, if you put something into the kli and let's say it would taste salty afterwards, then the kli is nechshav roseach enough. It's hot, ki'ilu hot enough to go ahead and mavli into something else. Shitas arrived. The Tosfos holds that even though there's iser nivla, the iser gets the dam is nivla into the bowl. Al pikain, it's not roseach. So therefore, you can't. If you put something hot in there, even if you put something cold in there, it's okay. Putting something hot in there it's still a problem because something hot will take out heat will take out the dam, but it's not nechshav hot by itself. So even if you put something cold in, it won't answer it. And if you taka used it by klipa imhu davar yavesh. We don't. So the Gemara points out we don't paskin like the Ravid. At least the sheet is not like the Ravid, because he would hold you need not only any klipa, you need at least netila. Netila because something hot, a hot piece of meat which touches another hot touches a piece of meat. Cold piece of meat will go in because it's called kadei netila, which is about which is like a finger's breadth of meat or whatever. So we don't pass in that way. So he only needs a klipa that is considered that akopanim. It's you put roseach in it would be hot. It's not mamish hot. It would take out enough dam to klipa. Imhu davar lach, if it's something which is lach or moist piece of meat. But inan shishim neged like a klipa mina kaara, then you would need to go ahead and try to be machshiv shishim of the outside, because the dam, the klisha enu menukav, the tzir, it will go only goes into the klipa. So then you need to go ahead and you need to cheshbon klipa of the whole kli. Shach points out that if it's a long flat like platter type bowl, then you're never going to really. I make the cheshbon. He says you're never going to really get to a point where there's going to be shishim neged the whole klipa of the kli. If it's a bowl, Chachmas Adam points out that that can work, because the issue is it can hold if it's on a long flat plate, then it's not going to, and you have a small piece of meat, it's not whatever. But if you have a bowl with a piece of meat hits, it could be that it's easier to make the cheshbon. However, so that's right. Min haka'ara. Also, and this is more the shitas arrived. Some say even bitzonin is also below hadacha, that you have to go ahead and it's not mamish arrived, but you have to go ahead and wash off. You can't if you did put something, you put cereal in, I don't know, whatever. You have to wash off. You'd have to wash it off before using. It has to be if it was and this is like any kli yisr. If you would go ahead and put a piece of meat into a milchik bowl, you still need to do hadacha as well. And if you use the hadacha, then you should go ahead and wash off whatever was whatever you used it for, whatever was the part of the kli. Let's say you use the cliche in menukov, or let's say a piece of meat got stuck there, you didn't realize, whatever it is. Then after you make a hole, you're still allowed to use it for melicha, or filu below nakiva, or even if without nakiva, even basar shahak var belichasoy v'hudach. That if even if you didn't make a hole in it, if the basar already, you didn't belicha already, v'hudach, and then you did the final hadach, we don't answer that piece of meat because anyway it's salt and the salt is breaking and with dam and you're salting a piece of meat. It's called the nikveya plata. The salt as a koach to take dam out of everything and mevatel it. So therefore, whatever dam is going to be in the sides of the kli will become bottle. Again, it's only dam derabanan. Dam which you salted is only dam derabanan, and so therefore we will be mako. Nachopani, you shouldn't use it. You have to do it. Do in the kiva, and it would still ask for something that went in. It was still choishish enough that it would ask for something that went in, even if it did melicha a second time. But achopanim wouldn't answer if you accidentally used it. Yudzaim, aval im hu menukav mutter le'achaba fila roseach. Even if it's menukav, you are allowed to eat the piece of meat, even if it's hot. V'yesh oisim v'roseach, and some say that and some say that afal pikain it's still also v'roseach. They understand the Gemara is that even if it's menuka, even in menuka, it's nivla yeshizar chachila b'di'ev mutter, and it's better to a chachila. We shouldn't use it, and that's a chachila. It's going to be mutter. Again, there are achronim who are cholek. Again, it's machlokes. So in derabanan, so b'di'evet, the question is, how far do you go? And if it's klicheres, again, any other case here depends on his hefsed meruba. There's other tzrachim. So then, if there may be room to be made, ches. Meat which was salt in the kli she'einu menukav, v'shah boy kashir she'itnu mayim ala eish, v'yaschil laharsiach. The shear of that we say meliach kiroseach is the zman it takes for you to put water on the fire and it will boil. I don't think it means without a top, which is, I don't know the exact shear. 10 minutes. I don't know. Whatever. I'll look. Yeah, a pot of water. I don't know, regular pot. It's the truth is, I think I remember hearing it's around 18 minutes, but I forgot to look it up. I'll look up what the place can say. Also, whatever is in the tzir is also to eat. A field sli, even sli, because the dam goes back in. It's on the akili have dam on the outside, and it's nivla b'socho. Sli doesn't take out. It only takes out dam which is on the inside, but dam which came from the outside and it was mavliya into the piece of meat. The sli also won't take that out. And the part of the meat which is sitting outside the tzir ain't also mimenu either k'dei klipa. It's only also k'dei klipa. Even if it's a real fatty piece of meat, and generally we say that if it's a fatty piece of meat, it's the isser is what's called mifapeya, that it makes it travel throughout the whole the whole piece of meat. Dam is an isser which is not mifapeya. It doesn't make a difference, and therefore the piece of meat which is inside, the part of the meat which is, you look at a keel, there's two pieces of meat over here. There's a piece of meat in the tzir, and that's going to be aser, and then you need a klei klipa because the keel, another piece of meat is touching that, but everything else beyond that is fine. Hagab nish oisrim kol chaticha. Some say the whole thing is also mamish, and then whatever the din we're machmer, whatever the din of like bishul, meliach is like bishul, and therefore it's also. Even if you only salt it a little bit, like you do for tzli. I feel Shashir Melicha, Rak Ma'at, even if it wasn't Shemelicha, I just sat there a little bit, Ad Shanira Tzir Bechli. Again, it doesn't have to get to like the boiling point, Ki'ilu. As long as you see that there's a bit of tzir, then the melech started working, and we're machmir. V'chein noagin, ve'ein l'shanais, the minig and Ramah is...
That's a positive thing.
No, it's a few minutes, whatever, a couple minutes, and it's going to be also.
No, I'm just listening to the language.
Even if it's a small amount of time, we're machmir. We see tzir, it's also. It becomes also. Only that isser which is sitting inside comes aser. No gas betzir. Again, it's a minig l'chumra, so therefore we only machmer on that piece of meat. But we don't say like it's mamish bishul and it goes through the whole pot, whatever that, and the whole bowl. That we don't say. Yutes achar shenim lachabasa v'hudach muter lidno afilu b'mayim she'enam roischim. Even after you salt the meat and it's hudach, you are allowed to put it even into a non-boiling water. Yesh b'shematzich litnoi b'mayim roischim. Now this is the Shitas Rambam. The Rambam holds, we understand the Gemara, is that even after you do melicha v'hadacha, you have to do chalita to stop the nekavim of dam from going out. You have to stick it in boiling water, and that will stop it. And that's the Shita Rambam. The Shita Rishon says, and basically everyone's cholok on the Rambam, and they say that you don't need to do it. But minig has kisvar Rishona v'chein ikr, you don't have to worry about it. I spoke to asked the Teimani, Ben Achar Ben from Shimon Sharabi. I asked them in Teimanim, are they, because they follow Shita, they shall follow the Rambam, are they machmir for it? He said there are those that they do it is that when they want to cook it, they'll just cheshbon to put it to put the meat in first, and then there are people like they don't bedachta take it and then stick all the meat in boiling water. He said the machmirim will go ahead and try to be sure when they cook it to put the meat in first, make sure the water is boiling, put the meat in first to be choshish for the Shitas Rambam. I honestly don't know what briskers do. I think I tried finding out. If they're, I don't know if I never heard, but you never know. The real briskers the mishpacha might actually do this. I have no idea. But Al this is the Shitas Rambam, and no one, and basically no one's choshish for it. And I think we'll stop here.